This is one of the most important decisions in the court's history. I think it's probably one of the most important decisions in the past 50 years. I'm gonna rank this right up here with past 100 years. In my opinion, as an attorney, I'm gonna put this right up there with Brown versus the Board of Education. And I know you all just think it's a court case, but this is a land of laws that we live in, and this is going to dramatically change the landscape of what we now know as the United States based on population. Okay. And I think, we're going to look back at this decision and say, yeah, that opened the door. Okay. And I believe the majority, and I believe, well, Alito said he believed the majority made a serious mistake to just open citizenship up to anyone born on American soil, including children of tourists. And his view is that citizenship should be read to protect children who at birth owe sole allegiance to the United States, not children who are automatically subject to another foreign power because of their parents' nationality. You see, this is real talk. He talked about birth citizenship. You got all this birth tourism thing going on. And he also ties this to nationalization. He said naturalized citizens have historically had to renounce foreign allegiance. And Justice Alito asked why that would matter if the Constitution allowed a child born to become a birthright citizen, while they are still being automatically subject to another country's power. He said Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and the Philippines and China are examples of countries whose laws can confer nationality or duties on children born outside their country. Think about that. They still have to serve in the military. I think, what is that? Is that some of those even the child born outside their country to their parent have to serve in the military, stuff like that. His point is very practical. A child born here to a foreign parent may not be solely American in any meaningful law, because the child may also be a national of the parents' country and may owe legal obligations to the country, taxes, military service, etc. So Alito's bottom line is that the 14th Amendment shouldn't have been read to force American citizenship on children who are still subject to foreign sovereign at birth. What if they didn't want the citizenship? Huh? You coming through the airport at LaGuardia and that baby pops out, you don't even want to be an American citizen. And now you're an American citizen, or your child is. Okay? And the main thing is this judge, who clearly reads newspapers, he's probably watching this broadcast right now. He departs from the majority because he's talking about modern condition. He goes through immigration history after 1965. All those people came over here. And he talks about illegal immigration in the 1970s and weak employer sanctions. You just let them, they keep coming here because you keep hiring them. That's the problem, okay? He talks about states trying to respond to California's Proposition 187. I remember that. Arizona employer, he went in, okay? He went in. He talked about Texas's border efforts and how the federal preemption and the federal enforcement choices left border states with very limited tools. And then he talks about sanctuary jurisdictions. Somebody type sanctuary city in the chat room, which restrict cooperation. Shout out to Real Squish. In other words, Alito is saying this ain't 1868, fool. That's basically what he said. Y'all stupid. If I just, you stupid, okay? And y'all applying old rule in a completely transformed immigration environment. Y'all are stupid. This is the most important decision you dummies have made, and this is what you did. Alito really went in. He really went in. That's what makes his dissent and they were cussing at each other without cussing. You ever had somebody cuss you out without cussing? That's what was happening. But usually, he's thought of as a conservative, a textualist, or originalist, and not someone pushing a freewheeling, living constitution theory. Okay, but here he's effectively saying constitutional law must be applied to modern realities that the framers of the 14th Amendment 250 years ago couldn't even imagine. Not to be precise, he wouldn't call that a living constitutionalism because that would go against this conservative mantra. He'd say he's applying the original meaning to new facts, but functionally, in real life, right here, somebody type right now, what he tried to do, he tried to recognize that the world is changing, man. And the men who wrote and ratified the 14th Amendment couldn't imagine commercial airline travel and international birth tourism. They were around there cleaning up horse dookie, and messing around in the slave quarters at night. That was their thrill. They couldn't imagine modern warfare and sanctuary cities and biometric-free document fraud and millions of people crossing the border in a way that turns birth on soil into a global citizen strategy. We literally could be invaded, okay? That's what he's saying, by these new babies that could be brought back to their home country, never have spent a day in the United States and have no allegiance to it. And he said Alito is saying that the Constitution doesn't require the country to pretend none of that matters. Okay, he really went in on birthright citizenships. He really did, and he says that this is what we were trying to protect against. Okay, Alito is basically warning about what I've called in this broadcast the anchor baby apocalypse. Okay, if birth alone controls, if immigration enforcement is weak, if the United States remains one of the few wealthy nations with automatic birthright citizenship, then the citizenship rule itself becomes an immigration target. It becomes a magnet. He even talks about the United Kingdom and Australia and New Zealand and countries with similar legal traditions. They abandoned automatic birthright citizenship just for this reason, because this is the same thing that happened to him. Don't you realize these people are about to show up at our door? They're going to say it's on again. And he closes with this very, very serious, this is a Supreme Court judge, very serious warning that the court has preserved a strong incentive for unlawful entry or overstay. And that decision will seriously affect the country's future. And that's not a minor dissent. That's a justice saying he's predicting the future. He's saying the majority just constitutionalized a rule that modern immigration reality has turned into something that Congress never would have recognized.